rescue a victim, some of those things that we have to worry about are housing. Assuming we make an arrest quickly, it's going to be a year to 18 months minimum before that goes to trial. So what do we do with that human trafficking victim? Human trafficking victims are almost always, by every definition, homeless. They have nowhere else to go. They have no support network. Oftentimes they don't even know where they are when you rescue them. And so it's up to us to find a place to house them and keep them safe and rehabilitate them as we go through that criminal justice process. There are always national and international jurisdictional issues. Human traffickers are always on the move. They're always moving their victims because it makes it much more difficult for law enforcement to catch up with them. So state lines, county lines, doesn't matter. They're all multi-jurisdictional, which means we have to engage multiple agencies to deal with that. And one of our mantras in the task force early on was no cold calls. It goes back to what I just said a minute ago. Create those relationships, establish those trusting relationships with your partners so that when you need those services in the middle of the night, you can make a phone call to somebody who already is a part of your team and can provide those services. There are four main goals of a human trafficking task force. And by the way, in its heyday, back when the federal government was funding these heavily, there was 42 funded task forces around the country. We were just one of them. But there's four goals of those task forces. One is to identify, rescue, and restore victims of trafficking. Our other two speakers talked about the TVPA, the Trafficking Victims Protection Act. That is a victim-oriented law. It requires that the priority in enforcing the components of that law shall be to take care of that victim first, provide those services to the victim first. Secondly, is to arrest and prosecute the trafficker. Thirdly, eliminate opportunities for trafficking, and I'll talk a little bit about some specific examples about that in just a minute, but things like, excuse me, prostitution, street-level prostitution. Law enforcement agencies are regularly doing street-level prostitution sweeps. They may not find any human trafficking victims every time, but they are eliminating that potential for trafficking within that circumstance.